Welcome to the first video regarding Arduino and how to use Arduino. Arduino is probably one of the most popular and one of the easiest uh, electronic mm, controllers that you can purchase, where you can program it via your computer, and then either run it connected to your computer via USB or connected to a 9-volt source and run it independently, a 9-volt battery or some other mechanism getting 9 volt to it. Then it would run the program that you run on the software. The big advantages is, one, Arduino is open source, so you can take the pieces of code that are available, customize it, improve it, and in many cases, whatever you want to do, you can pretty quickly find a piece of software someone else has written to do that. Probably one of the best controllers out there for someone who's just getting started and wants to, and even later on, if you don't want to put too much computing power in place, but you want to be able to write a control software where you are able to control some analog I/O and some digital I/O and be able to read stuff from the outside and then write out to them. This is a great tool. What we're going to do in this particular video, first thing we're going to do an introduction, including installing the Arduino, introducing you to the basic, this probably one of the most commonly used, or one of the first Arduino that were available, called Uno, and what is on it, how it's used. And then nowadays there are many version of it. The fact that it's all open sourced, a lot of vendors producing them as well. And then we're going to take a look at how would you program this, what is the structure they have set to allow you to do programming of this Arduino. So that's kind of where we are headed. Let's go ahead and start with the first things first. In order to write your program, you have to have an editor and a compiler and a loader for your Arduino. Fortunately, the Arduino team provides that to you, of course, free of charge. So all you need to do, and the simplest way to find this over time, is just go to Google and type in Arduino software or Arduino download. Any of those would work. Let's go ahead and say Arduino software. Let's see what comes up. All right, the very first one that comes up is Arduino's main site. There's this www.arduino.cc. Just click on this one, and then it will take you to the main site. And they have two options. You can run the Arduino from an online system. What we're going to do here, we're just going to download it on our own PC or laptop and run it from there. I find that to be a little easier to deal with than having an online solution. As you can see here, they have all varieties. They have the various version of Linux installer, the various OS, even Mac OS and Linux, various versions of Linux available. So pick the one you want, click on it, follow the online instruction that comes with it, and the next thing you know, what you're going to have is a icon on your desktop that looks kind of like this. So oops, put that away. So just click on your icon, and it hopefully will load up, and we'll go from there. Okay, so simply click on it, it comes up, and then we're going to leave it right now, and we're going to come back and look at it a little bit later. Okay, so let's go back to our list of things to do in this video. So that was how to install it. Pretty straightforward, not very complicated, and how to install the IDE. So that's done. So let's go ahead and take a look. Let's go take a look at the Arduino board. What is this board we are talking about? We have mentioned a couple of times. So let's take a quick look at it. So this is the Arduino Uno. As I mentioned, these Arduino boards are basically open source. So you could get them, and I'm not sure why it's not zooming, probably because it's not enough light here. These are, okay, there we go. Arduino boards. There are many manufacturers. This is the Uno. I would say this is kind of the vanilla version of it. This is actually a genuine Arduino manufacturer. The company Arduino manufactured board. So its brand is probably $20 some. There are other companies that you can purchase it from. Just search for Arduino on Amazon.com or your favorite shopping channel, and you will find the board you need. And if you're an electrical engineer or someone of that sort, and you want to lay out your PC board, all the schematic, all the parts, everything is readily available. They're doing a great job of documenting it and sharing it with you. So you go ahead and use the USB connection. This USB comes with a cable that kind of looks, is this kind of cable. We used to call them printer cable. I'm not exactly sure what the right designation nowadays is, but it's kind of the square looking things, and that goes right here. And that's how you communicate to your laptop when you use that piece of software we just downloaded and write your program. Then you use this cable, and the other end of the cable is just a standard USB cable that you plug into your computer. It kind of looks just like a standard one. Okay, so so what do you get? Well, what you get on this thing is you're going to get a few LEDs on this that you can turn on and turn off, and then you're going to get a whole bunch of connectors. So you're going to get a whole bunch of digital connectors, and you see those little squiggly things right next to some of these things. If I can bring it close, that's these digital pins can be used as you can make them an input or output, but the ones with the squiggly sign next to them, you can use something called pulse width modulation. Pulse width modulation, we're going to cover that in one of the later videos, or if you want to go to our computer and microprocessors videos, there's a good description of pulse width modulation there. But pulse width modulation is a way of creating analog output if you like to do that. If you don't want to just put 0 and 1 out, but you want different levels of power out, then you would use pulse width modulation. On the other side of the board, this Uno board, they provide a bunch of analog inputs, and probably the easiest way to use this is, although you can adjust it, but probably 0 to 5 volt, and I think they give you 10 bits, so the voltage from 0 to 5 volts will be mapped into 1024 separate steps. And again, in future videos, as we will talk about analog devices and inputs, we're going to talk about that. And some of the other things you provide a 5 volt ground and VCC on it. So it's a really nice little diversified microprocessor microcontroller device that you get with a nice user interface up here and a whole bunch of programs that are already written. In addition, you can buy these daughter boards that you can plug on top of this for a special functionality, such as if you wanted to have a GPS, or you wanted to have other motor controllers or some other device there, that would be kind of good to have. Anyway, that's the board. That's called the Uno, and we can go take a look. There's a whole mess of different ones, and when I bring the application up, I'm going to mention the name of all the other ones that are available. Okay, so now that we've kind of seen that, we're going to connect both sides of these cables to, I'm going to connect the other side of this USB cable to my system. And as you notice, as soon as I connected the cable, you see that there's a small LED here, small LED right there. That's just basically a transmit receive. That's showing you that the USB is talking back and forth. You see a couple of other LED turned on. It's because it's powered through the USB now and it's live. Okay, we don't have any code on it. It's just sitting there and doing nothing. Okay, so then the next thing is we're going to go back to our IDE, the piece of software that we downloaded, and that piece of software, I'm going to start over. It's going to come. And in order for us to learn how our Arduino environment work, what I did, if you go under File, you go under Examples, I'm going to go ahead and get they have a whole bunch of examples already there, but I'm going to get one of the simple one, which is the blink. I've already got that. That's what's sitting here. So just click it. It loads up the piece of software. Just to simplify this, I'm going to delete some of these comments. Oh, by the way, this is it would be useful if you've had C. The comments are either written with /* ended with /*. That's if you got multiple lines of comment. That's probably the best way to do it. If you have single line of comment and // then comment is what computer will ignore. It will not care what you write in it. That's purely for your information. I'm going to delete it just so it gets a little smaller, so we can kind of have conversation about how the software is set up. The software, the way it's set up, and is set up in two sections. One section is has a function called setup. You notice that right here. It says void setup. Void means this setup is not going to return anything, and anything you put between this curly bracket open and this curly bracket end, it's only gonna run once, period. As soon as you power the Arduino out, it's gonna run. So think of this as the initialization setup activity. And then the second part of the code will be something called void. Again, doesn't return anything. Void means I'm not going to return anything. It's called the loop. And then there's open curly bracket and end curly bracket. Whatever you put in here is gonna be, it's gonna keep repeating over and over again. Okay, so the way this code is set up is that it's gonna go to the setup. Once it's gonna say the LED button. I deleted those things. I'll put them back out. LED button is just a pin number. I think it's pin number 13 or something like that. It says go ahead and make that pin. Remember, let me go back to the, actually let's go back and take a look at the board one more time so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So there are, oops, see if I can get it to zoom in. There we go. So you see these numbers right here. These numbers are the pin numbers, and you can make them input and output by just writing that command. Okay, and then on this side there are the analog ones. We're not using the analog one, but we're going to focus on these up here. Okay, so let's go back, and I'm going to bring back the whole piece of code. So let's file, close this thing so we're not, no, I don't want to save it because I messed it up. Oops, it closes. So let's go ahead and run Arduino again. Arduino. There we go. I'm going to run it one more time. Wait. The board's still sitting there. It does take him a little bit to bring the Arduino up, so I'm gonna go there and see what I got. If you get here and nothing is here, again, when you want the blink application, just do file and open, recent, or go to the example. All the examples are here. The simplest ones are under basic, and I basically went under our basic, and the one I got was the blink, which is the simplest one of them all. Okay, so it's here, it's all set here, and some of these are predefined in Arduino. So LED built-in is already defined where it is, and they know what it is. So the LED built-in. So let's go ahead and compile this and load it up. So if you go ahead and hit this arrow button, both is gonna, it says upload, but it's both gonna compile it and upload it. And as you hit that button, it takes your code and does that. Now it's probably gonna fail, and the reason it's gonna fail, I'll tell you why. Let's see. My guess is it's gonna fail. So let's wait and see. And yours probably will fail the first time too. It takes him a while. Okay, it failed. And notice down here it tells you, hey, I tried to go to COM1 to communicate to the Arduino. I couldn't find it. Something is wrong. And what I failed to tell you is when you first time you set your Arduino up, you have to go to Tools, and you have to make sure that you know which Arduino, you have the correct Arduino. I have the Arduino Uno, as you can see up here, Arduino Uno right there. And by the way, these are all the other various kinds of Arduino. They got all kinds, depending on, do you want a little small one? Do you want a big one? Do you want more powerful, less powerful? Do you want to be capable of Wi-Fi, night Wi-Fi, and all of that? The one we have, as I said, is one of the very basic ones, Uno. So I do have that selected. So that board is correct. So the first thing you got to do, you got to make sure you got the right Uno, or you got the right Arduino board. The next thing you got to do, you got to make sure you pick the right communication port to talk to it. But the nice thing is that, and I don't know why they don't do that automatically, but it knows which port it's supposed to be on, but you still got to see it says COM5 is connected to Arduino Uno, probably because if you have multiple of these connected to USB, you could have select between them. But for now, I only have an Arduino Uno, is COM5, so I'm going to click it. Okay. Now, hopefully, when I go back to the arrow to do the compile and the upload, it hopefully will work. Okay, so looking good, looking good. We'll see. Awesome. So it says that my program Sketch uses 920 byte of the program storage. I have up to 32 kilobytes, 32,000 bytes, so I'm not using very much of it. And then global variable use 9 bytes, which is not much of dynamic RAM, leaving me with 2,000 bytes to use. Now, in today's computer technology, these are very, very small amounts of memory, but for controller work, that's plenty to do a fair amount of work with that amount of memory, even though it sounds very small compared to your laptop or your PC. Okay, so what we got, we went ahead. So this is one of the places people get most caught up. Don't remember to go set the board. We usually set correctly, and then make sure you go and set the COM port to where the board is connected to. Okay, those are the two biggies you need to be aware of. Okay, so we go over here. So what does this do? Let's I think we took a look at it. So initially says, whatever the built-in LED is, set it to the output. Great. Okay, and that happened once in the initialization section, which we call setup. And then we go to the loop, which happens over and over again. Let's see what it does. It says, okay, set the built-in, write the digital, set the built-in to high, which is 5 volts. Okay, wait 1,000. These are in millisecond. Millisecond is 1,000th of a second. So this says delay, wait 1,000 milliseconds, which is 1 second. Then it says set it to low and wait again. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, it's going to turn some sort of an LED on, wait a second, turn it back off, and so if I go look at my camera, and hopefully I can zoom back in, you can kind of see. If you look over here, this is the built-in LED they have, and you see 1 second on, 1 second off. You see that? Okay, now how about if I want to make it blink much faster? Let's say 1/10 of a second, back and forth. How would I do that? Well, I'll simply go back to my Arduino, take a look at my code right here. You see that? Right here, instead of going 1,000 milliseconds, I'm going to wait 100 milliseconds. And here, 100 milliseconds. Now, remember, every time you change a code, you have to compile and upload it. Otherwise, the Arduino board doesn't know what you're doing. So we're going to click this one and wait. And then we're going to watch down here. See that down here? It's telling us, hey, I'm compiling your code, Sketch. And then I say, okay, I'm done uploading. See that? So 2 steps: compile, upload. And each one of those has multiple steps, but we will get into it later if you have to learn what happens. But for now you know what the program looks like, you know the initialization section and all that. And we changed this, so now when I go to the camera, I should see blinking faster, and you can see, hopefully you remember, that it was blinking slower. Now it's blinking much faster. Okay, In future videos, we say, okay, can I connect something to this to do something? So we'll come back and do more of that. If you have a specific thing you wanted to do, send me just respond to this, and we'll do our best to make that the next video. Okay. But stay tuned. We'll have more stuff now that you know how to use it. And if you have an idea that you have created, let me know as well. All of that you can respond to this video on YouTube. Take care. Have a good day.